Bonjour et bienvenue à Flame 2021. Je m'appelle Michelle Fournier and I'm here to talk to you about Méditation en français, Mindfulness in French class. So we all know that this has been a rough year. Teaching and learning are challenging in any year, but especially this year in 2021. And so there's a lot of talk about student stress and anxiety and social emotional learning, which makes mindfulness even more important, I think, in any class and in life. I'm going to give you some tools and tips to incorporate mindfulness in your French classes. And I'll give you all the resources that you need. So we're going to start out with just a little brief meditation. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes, and I'm going to play a tone from the singing bowl that you see pictured. And we're just going to take a moment to center ourselves. If you are a Spanish speaker or another language, you don't speak French, just roll with it and enjoy a little bit of calm and quiet for a minute or so. And I'll guide you through it a little bit. So if you're comfortable, fermez les yeux. Inspirez profondément par le nez. Remplissez les poumons et ensuite expirez complètement par la bouche. Encore une fois, inspirez par le nez. Expirez par la bouche. Relaxez les épaules, relaxez le visage et écoutez votre silence intérieur. Observez la respiration. Peut-être vous sentez le souffle dans le nez, dans la poitrine ou dans le ventre. Vous pouvez même placer vos mains sur le ventre pour sentir l'air qui entre et qui sort. Et si les pensées arrivent, laissez-les passer comme les nuages dans le ciel. Sans jugement. Inspirez et expirez. Lâchez la tension dans votre cœur, dans votre esprit et arrivez dans le moment présent. Ouvrez les yeux. Okay, so what are you going to learn about in this session? Why should you teach mindfulness? How? And how do you practice mindfulness in your own life? And why should you do that? So I talked a little bit earlier about the stress and anxiety that we're all under. Stressed students can't learn well. Stressed teachers can't teach well. And I'm not going to go through all the 21 gazillion reasons why mindfulness is helpful to you physically, emotionally, etc. Google it. You'll find a wealth of information. I'm just talking today about why it's important to me. And I tell students things like increased focus, improved memory, less anxiety. For me, what's really important is showing students that I care about their emotional well-being. So if I practice mindfulness with them, they know that it's not just all about French, that I don't want them to be stressed, that I want them to be emotionally fulfilled and happy and centered and all of those things. So that's, even though French is important and I love French, that's not the most important thing. So I want them to know that I care about them. And it does give them lifelong tools that can help them in other areas of their lives. But don't take my word for it. This was back from December, I think. I gave my students an end of term survey, and this is some of what they said. What did they think of the meditations we did in class? So some of them, it's not their thing. That's fine. No worries. Most of the students that I surveyed said that it helped ease their stress and was a nice moment of calm in their day. And that they thought the meditations were pretty clear. My 8th grade students, they really liked the calm in their day. 8th grade gets even more stressful. And actually, one student said they applied the techniques outside of class. That was exciting. I had a student a couple of years ago with autism, and he really, really liked the mindfulness. It really helped him a lot. So some students in particular, it can really be helpful. Most people thought, again, it was pretty helpful. And, it's not going to work for everybody. And I completely acknowledge that. My colleague, Amber Burks, hi Amber, yay Amber, her 7th grade students, so this was another teacher using my meditations, they really liked it. A couple of her students applied the techniques outside of class, and they thought it was super clear and a nice moment of calm in their day. So generally speaking, a lot of students really appreciated it. School is very hectic, and so having a moment to breathe. I know Laura Terrell in one of the teacher leader workshops or maybe it was, I don't know, some sort of conference I went to with her. She said, we need to do writing in class so that everybody can have quiet for a few minutes. And it is important, especially for introverts. I don't know if anybody's read Susan Cain's book, Quiet, but it's about how our society and our educational system are geared toward extroverts in the United States. And so introverts might really benefit from this quiet in the day. I know I am definitely an introvert and I need that silence in the day. And I'm a better teacher because I practice mindfulness both in and outside of class. So it helps me to be more patient and less stressed with my students, which is good for everybody. So how do I teach it? So first of all, if you've never practiced mindfulness, if you've never taught mindfulness, if you have zero experience, don't worry. It's not hard. It's really a simple thing. You sit and breathe. right? And again, I'm giving you tools here that will help. Making it a routine is very important, I think. So my students know on Tuesdays we do mardi, Méditation. So they know to expect that at the beginning of class. Occasionally I will have students request a meditation, or sometimes I'll just do one in a different context. If they come in they just had a test and they're all freaked out, or they're about to have a test in their next class that they're worried about, I might do a little meditation at the end of class just to get them in the right mindset. So I do take requests for meditations. Sometimes, obviously, teacher discretion. But having it as a routine, I think, is helpful. I have over the summer and in the fall, I created a whole mindfulness series in French, because what I found was that the meditations I found in French online were too hard for my students. I teach middle school, novice, high-ish, novice, mid-novice, high students. And the vocabulary, even for kids' meditations in French, made for French speakers, native French speakers, the vocabulary was really hard. And I didn't want to have to sit there and teach them 23,000 new vocabulary words before doing a meditation. So I made my own, and I was hoping that it would be useful for other teachers as well. There's a teacher guide that goes with it, and the links are right in this presentation, and it will give you ideas for how to set it up, questions to ask at the end. Each of the meditations follows a similar format, so it will start with a little bit of vocabulary, and the vocabulary is spiraled through. So the first couple of meditations, pretty much they're doing inspirer, expirer. And then once they learn those, I stop reviewing those words. And we add words and phrases as we go through, like laisser passer or lâcher, whatever. It's very well scaffolded, I think, or I tried to make it well scaffolded. Hopefully it will be good. And then there are a few lessons interspersed with it, so it will teach them how to sit, for example, in meditation, and what to do when thoughts arise and things like that. So there are a couple of lessons, and then the meditations get a little bit longer and a little bit more complex as they go through. And what I tried to do was give samples of different types of meditations. So there's a visualization. I haven't done a body scan yet, but maybe this summer I'll have time to make one. There's a sound meditation. There's a silence meditation. There are some without any significant guidance, where it's images of nature or ocean sounds or things like that. So there's a little bit of everything, so that maybe students can find something that works for them and that they like. So I tried to appeal to a variety of styles and just kind of introduce them to the whole idea of meditation. So you're welcome to use that. Please use it, or adapt it, or whatever. There is also, if you do use the meditation series, I recommend that you go in order, at least until you get to the, maybe like number 10 or something. I think there are 11, I can't remember, 14? Maybe there are 14. But anyway, so go in order because of that scaffolding of vocabulary is what I would recommend. They're pretty short. They run from maybe 4 minutes to 8 minutes, maybe is the longest one. So I'm going to let you click on that and look at the meditation guide and so forth. So each meditation will start with a little bit of vocabulary, reminding them how to sit. And then invite the students to close their eyes. More on that in a minute. There will be a bell, beginning bell and an ending bell, a little bit of guidance, and then whatever the meditation is. And then at the end it says, Qu'est-ce que vous avez remarqué? So you can have a discussion afterwards, or a reflection. Again, if you don't have time, skip it. Sometimes students have a lot to say, sometimes they don't. And there are suggested questions in the teacher guide as well. There are apps. So before I created my own series, I like Insight Timer, calm.com, and I guess Headspace is also now free for teachers. But you can even just go on YouTube and Google meditative music if you just want to have calming music in the background in your class when students are working on something. That's very nice. There are lots of them with nature scenes and so forth. I have some linked on my website, which will be linked at the end as well. So just, if they're working on something quietly, having some nature scenes up with some soft music sometimes is helpful. And, I let the students decide too. So I might say, would you like a little music? Or what kind of music do you want today? You want some piano, or you want some, guitar, whatever. So that's something you can do in class as well. If you're not playing the Mani Musicale playlist, that's a different presentation. Okay. So use an app if you want. That also works. So in the beginning, I recommend that you decide how you're going to approach it. So are you going to require them to meditate? Are you going to invite them to meditate if they wish? What are the non-negotiables? So for example, my non-negotiables are they can't get up and move around during the meditation. They can't get up and use the bathroom because they're going to disturb other people. They are not allowed to look at their class. So I teach middle school right now. I used to teach high school, but so they like to, make faces at each other. And before COVID, they like to try to touch each other during the meditation, play footsies, whatever. So I tell them they can't touch each other. They can't be, tapping their pen on the table. They can't be, making noise in any way. So it's about going inward and it's about them. It's not about other people. So I really encourage them to close their eyes. Some students might not be comfortable closing their eyes. I don't make them close their eyes, but I do encourage them to stare at a spot on their desk or, if I do let them draw, students who like to draw, if they want to draw, as long as they're not like rifling through their trousse and making a lot of noise with their colored pencils or whatever they have. So that's okay. Or, I do also tell them no screens. Okay. So they can't have their computer open. They can't have phones out. Can't in my class anyway. So they have to be quiet. You can decide if you want to let them lie on the floor. Sometimes if it's a small class and I have time, I'll let them lie on the floor. They should be lying on their back, not like curled up in a ball, because the idea is to have their chest open so they can breathe well. That's part of it, is freeing up their breath. And again, not touching other people and playing footsies or whatever, or getting stuck under the desk, or you'd be surprised. Well, you probably wouldn't because you're teachers. So anyway, so decide, how you're going to approach it. Are you going to make them sit at their desks? Are you going to let them lie down? Are you going to, require everyone to, be still, or are you going to let them draw? Things like that. It's up to you. It's whatever you're comfortable with. I pretty much make it a requirement to sit still, and I invite them to try it, and most of them do this year, but they don't always close their eyes, which is fine. You can also integrate it into the regular part of your class, okay? So if my class is anxious, or they're, we just played a game and they're hyper or excited, or it just started snowing, or there's a hornet in the room in the spring, what happens in schools. Throw in a little inspire, expire, okay? So sometimes I'll just stop if they are being too crazy, and I'll say, okay, let's just close our eyes for a minute and breathe, and inspire, expire. Or give them a mantra. Inspirez le calme. Expirez le stress. Okay, and just like doing that for 20 seconds can bring down the level of the class. Okay, so just having that little bit of quiet. So it's actually a very good classroom management technique. Start small. If you're new to mindfulness and meditation, do what you're comfortable with. And it's okay to say to the kids, hey, I'm just trying this. I don't really know too much about it, but let's see how it goes. It's okay to show them that you're learning too. How do I practice mindfulness? So some of you might be saying, why in the world do I need to do this on my own time? I've got enough to do, right? But it's more authentic, okay? So a lot of times in the follow-up with students after we do a meditation, I can refer to things with my own practice. So I can say, sometimes when my mind is going in 23 different directions, here's what I do. And here's what works for me, or here's what doesn't work for me, or, here's what I noticed. So a lot of mindfulness is just about noticing. Here's what I noticed when I did my meditation at home this morning. So it does help. I think I mentioned that I do mindfulness on Tuesdays. Tuesdays are a happy day for me because I do my meditation for my own practice at home in my house every morning. And so I have my Tuesday personal meditation, and then I have a meditation in every single one of my classes. So Tuesdays tend to be good days at school because I'm calmer. So it does help me, or if I'm feeling, if that student pushes your buttons, I can breathe in and breathe out and take a moment and notice that I'm having my buttons pushed, and I can respond rather than react. So instead of having being triggered, that word is overused, but instead of getting upset by something, I can respond better and be kinder and more patient with my students. And so that's good for everybody. So again, starting small. So if you decide you want to do your own mindfulness practice, again, making it a routine. So I read somewhere in a meditation book years ago, you wouldn't ever not brush your teeth in a day, right? You wouldn't go a day without brushing your teeth. It's just gross. And so if you treat mindfulness like brushing your teeth, it's just something you do every day, right? It's just a given. And I think studies say it takes 3 weeks to form a habit, right? 2 minutes in the morning when you get up or before you go to bed, it can help you sleep better. Whatever, but figuring out some sort of routine. So just making it a routine. Where are you going to practice? When are you going to practice? Etc. Sometimes having a mindfulness buddy. So if you connect with somebody, that might help motivate you. Like if you need to have an exercise buddy, you can have a mindfulness buddy. But really, it's what works for you. Some people read a lot of books about mindfulness. You might try some of the different apps. The Insight Timer one that I use, there's a beginner's, and it's free, by the way. And it has a beginner's mindfulness class. So before I created this mindfulness series, I used that with my students, and it was about 10 minutes long for like 7 days, I think it was. So I did that with my students, and it had little lessons and mindfulness practice, just that they would get the actual instruction until I was comfortable giving the instruction myself. So that was super helpful. You can't ask me questions because this is recorded, but you can definitely email me if you have any questions or, explore some of the resources that I will share with you. So I think I'm looking at the time. This is about 24 minutes long. I think I am not going to play this for you, because we're almost out of time, and I'll share a couple of other things. But I will, at the end, I'll show you the links for the mindfulness series, and you can explore that on your own. because I'm aware of everybody's busy schedules and you might be tired of Zoom at this point. So if I were doing this in person, we would have done this visualization, La Montagne. It's my favorite one. You can explore it on your own. It's about halfway through the meditation series. It's like maybe it's number 7 or something. But it's kind of nice. I like it. It's my favorite. So anyway, you can see if your students find that that's their favorite too. Some other resources that exist. Mindful.org is a really good site. You can sign up for getting emails that have links to nice little meditations on them. Oh, by the way, also some of the apps have meditations in other languages too. So Insight Timer sometimes I'll do a meditation in French or in Spanish, or they have German. They have all kinds of different languages, and you can put that in your settings. So if you're looking for something, you can use that. Wise Minds, Big Hearts. If you are in Maine, they are awesome. They did a class called Mindfulness. What was it called? Mindfulness for Adolescent Educators or something like that. That my district, Falmouth Middle School, or Falmouth Schools, high school teachers did it as well, were able to take maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But it was great. And it taught teachers how to incorporate mindfulness in their classes. So they're a really great organization. The book that's pictured there is the one that we used in class. So if you really want to dive in and go for it. There's my email. So I'll leave that up there for a second, although I'm sure you can pause yourself. I'll show you my website. So this is my website that I actually haven't used that much with my students this year because doing other things. But I have a well-being page, and it has some stuff in there. I can't guarantee all the links are still good, but they're probably pretty good. So there are some little meditation things on here, guided meditations. Some of them are in French, some of them are in English, and I tried to put the time reference there if you want to just do a 1-minute thing. By the way, some of my meditations have visuals with them, so the students who don't want to close their eyes could watch the screen. So especially later, as I got better at making them, I put some videos in there, some ocean sounds or some nature scenes or whatever. So there's some guided meditation in there. There's some relaxing music. These are ones that I've just liked, so things that you might want to have in the background. This is a great little video, why mindfulness is a superpower. I think it's linked in my teacher guide, but that's really nice when you're introducing mindfulness to your students. There's some yoga on there too. So those are some resources that are helpful. I will show you, let's go back to the beginning here. If you look at, here we go. So the teacher guide, I'll show you real quick. I've got a couple minutes. This, if my internet comes up, has a link to the YouTube playlist of all of the mindfulness videos. There's a loving kindness meditation in there. If you click on these, it will take you to the specific spot. So it tells you a little bit about scope and sequence structure, affective filter, so being aware of, students who might feel self-conscious about meditating in front of their peers. The video, the very first video, is for teachers only in the series, just why I am doing this, but I've already kind of told you that. So there's why mindfulness is a superpower. So the first one is a lesson, pourquoi méditer. And again, in the videos, I tried to use a lot of cognates, so it should be pretty easy for students to follow it. Then here's an écoute. It's just a guided meditation, discussion questions, takeaways, how to sit. There's a lesson. My internet's being super slow. Inspire, expire. So just paying attention to the breath. Suggestions, discussion, sometimes there are takeaways. Inspirez le calme, expirez le stress. So using a mantra, etc. So you can explore this on your own. Okay, there's a observe your body one, etc. I'm going to go back up and find the playlist just so that you can see. Oops, play. All right, or actually, let's go to here. Might work better. Okay. It's probably going to start playing, so hang on. All right, so anyway, there's a YouTube playlist. It may come up eventually, but it's being really slow. There we go. Okay, so there you go. Pourquoi méditer? Écouter, comment s'asseoir, inspirer, expirer, comment se concentrer. One other tip, when you're going through, so you'll see when it does the vocabulary, sometimes the teacher will want to pause and say, does everybody get that one? So for example, profondément was one. I really had a hard time finding the finding a picture that would express deeply. And so I have like a deep ocean scene, but you might want to pause and say, what does that mean? Profondément. So that's something that might be helpful to you. So there we go. As you get to the end, so there are 3 at the end that you can really put anywhere in your practice. So if you just want to do like flowers or sunsets and sunrises, or something like that, you can do that. Je pense que c'est bon. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres choses que je voulais dire? I think that should about cover it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I see that we're at about 32 minutes, so I need to stop. But I hope that this has been useful. I hope that your students enjoy it. And I hope that it will help you to be a little bit less stressed and more centered and able to enjoy your teaching and enjoy your students and have them learn more effectively because they're not stressed. So thank you very much. I will leave you with the sound of the singing bowl and have a lovely day. Au revoir.